telling you the truth, he show up at my house and he's like, you want to sign this book to be a baddie? I would do that. Hey, it's Rachel over at Moonlight Library, here today to talk to you about my spring TBR. Welcome if you're new here, welcome if you're not new here. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe. Put a video out every week, just about. So here we go. To curate my TBR, sometimes when I do seasonal TBRs, firstly, they work better for me than a monthly TBR because I choose the normal amount you would choose for a TBR, I guess. I don't know. But it allows me for more wiggle room with my mood reading. Also, I don't stay completely on top of it. This is just what I want to read. But the other thing about a seasonal TBR is sometimes I become obsessed with the idea of what is a spring book? Like, what is a book that represents spring? If you have an idea, give me some titles. But the issue with this, for me at least, is that I start restricting myself to like, well, I can't read this book over the spring, or I can't put it on my spring TBR because it's not a spring book. Like, what is a spring book? Anyways, I'm going to show you some of my spring TBR books, and then I'll show you some of my books that I'm like, I want to read in the next 3 months, because I'm not restricting myself. I feel like winter's probably one of the worst times for me for this, like, seasonal thing, because I get very, like, what is winter? What is, like, curled up in cold fantasy, dark academia, you know? And I'm like, this is winter. And no. Anyways, spring TBR. Probably the easiest one. So this first one, this is The Poison Heart. Let's start with, wait a second, I also didn't tell you something. I've decided that I want to try to be kind of like, I feel like I'm in my fantasy girly era, and I don't know why, but I'm like, I'm really into the idea of reading some fantasy. So some of these will be fantasy, which I feel like sometimes I don't pick up as many fantasy, but I feel it in my soul. I feel it in my heart. I'm like, fantasy is here for me. And that's how I'm feeling. So we're going to start with The Poison Heart. This is by Kalynn. Oh my God, Rachel. Bayron. What is wrong with me? Kalynn. So this one is about Brezzies. Has a gift. With a single touch, she can grow plants from tiny seeds to rich blooms. So she ends up inheriting her family's estate. I think it's her aunt. And she decides that she's going to work on this magical power, talent, gift that she has. Sounds very spring. Flowers are blooming. Plants are growing. And she's learning how to make it happen. So I'm excited about that one. Fantasy, interesting. I don't know what, like, that's all I need to know. So another one that I feel like kind of like, maybe it's there's something about the aesthetic and the fact that it says the Priory of the Orange Tree. It says orange tree on it, which I'm like, that feels very spring to me. The colors maybe look kind of fall, but I'm feeling spring here. This is a fantasy book. This is very, very long, and it's like a sapphic fantasy, and it's very political intrigue as well, and there's dragons. Sounds great. I've been wanting to read it for a while. The sequel just came out, so I'm hoping that I actually pick this one up, because sometimes I can feel a little daunted by such large books. And because I become obsessed with the amount of books I'm reading, which I'm trying to let go of. That's something else I'm working on, is letting go of the caring about how many books I read. So what if I read one book in a month? So what? You're gonna listen to me talk to you about that one book. Hopefully I'm really enjoying it. I hope I read more than one book in a month. No. One book in 2 months. What if that happens? It's okay. It's okay if that happens. That's how I feel. So the last one is highly suspicious and unfairly cute. This is a YA romance by Talia Hibbert. We love her. I love the Brown sisters romance books, and I thought this one sounded adorable. They're like tromping through the woods and trying to catch UFOs because they're in like a paranormal like UFO conspiracy society thing, I guess. I don't really know, but it sounds so good. I love that. Anyways, tromping around in the woods sounds like spring to me. So let's keep on let's go to this one. This is what called out the idea of thinking about me looking for books that fit the spring idea, which I was like, Rachel, you can't do that. Because this one fits a summer aesthetic to me. And that is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I'm currently reading How to Sell a Haunted House. I've also read We Sold Our Souls and My Best Friend's Exorcism. And you know what? I'm a Grady Hendrix fan. I am. They're great. I like it. I am excited to give this one a read because, I don't know, vampires. I feel like the whole title tells you what the book is. He can be very like, can he be slashery? I don't know, kind of slashery, horror, stuff like that. And I feel like he writes in such a fun manner. You feel like you're watching a movie. It's fun. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. I love you, Grady Hendrix. So another one that is talking about goals and ideas of what I want to achieve. Actually, I have two for that, for this specific goal, because I haven't started doing this, but I keep telling myself I will. This is, well, Cursed Bunny isn't the goal. I want to read more short story collections, and I like the idea of just picking up a short story collection and reading one of the short stories before bed or something like that, or like one each Sunday or something. That it's not like I read the whole book in one sitting and that's what I'm reading. It's like I pick it up every once in a while and read a short story from it. The first one is Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung, and this one is, I believe, like just a weird, I'm going to read. It's hard to describe short story collections sometimes, especially when you haven't read them. So I'm like, let's just read straight from here. I'm probably going to go out of focus while I read, but you're going to have to deal with it. Unique and imaginative, blending horror, sci-fi, fairy tales, and speculative fiction into stories that defy categorization. By turns, thought-provoking and stomach-turning. Here, monsters take the forms of furry woodland creatures, and danger lurks in unexpected corners of everyday apartment buildings. But in this unforgettable collection, translated by acclaimed Anton Her, wow, I did not say that right, Chung's absurd, haunting universe could be our own. And that's Cursed Bunny. So, sounds interesting. I am intrigued, excited to read. Next up is another short story collection that I have been meaning to read. I think, did I start this one? No, I think I started his other short story collection, Stories of Your Life and Other Stories. Ted Chiang's Exhalation. I've heard so many good things about this. I really love Story of Your Life, which is like a novella inside of that short story collection that I've read twice, 3 times. It makes me cry like a little baby. I'm like, so I'm excited to see how Ted Chiang weaves sci-fi and all the things I love into one short story collection. What does it say? 9 stunningly original, provocative, and poignant stories. 2 published for the very first time, all from the mind of the incomparable Ted Chiang. Tackling some of humanity's oldest questions, along with the new quandaries only he can imagine. These stories will change the way you think, feel, and see the world. That didn't really say much of anything. God. You're just going to have to trust me. I'll talk about it once I've read it, and then I'll tell you what stories I like. I don't know. Exhalation. Okay, so next let's talk about my fantasy girly era. Because I have a couple in here. Shadow and Bone. I've read Six of Crows. Wow, I have 2 Leigh Bardugos here. Anyways, I've read Six of Crows before, and I really liked Six of Crows. I kind of want to reread it. I just watched the first season of Shadow and Bone series on Netflix, and I had seen it before, but the second season comes out soon. And I was like, you know what? I kind of want to read this. Like, I kind of want to read it. I know it's, like, old, and I feel like no one talks about it anymore. Maybe they do. Maybe it's over-talked about. I couldn't really tell you. But I don't care. I want to read it. I'm interested. I want to know what's going on. Sounds great to me. Oh, I didn't even tell you what this is about. Okay, so Shadow and Bone follows this girl, Alina Starkov, and she is, like, just a normal girl in this fantasy world called the Grishaverse, where there's this big, like, thing called the Fold that you can't go through. There are tons of demons in it. So this one, like, where they live is split in half by this thing, the Fold, and they have to, like, travel through it very, very carefully. It's very likely to die if you do this. And she's traveling through it, and some people have magic powers, but not everyone. And she gets, like, something happens that it turns out she has the one magic power that, like, no one else has. They're like, oh my god, only legends and prophecies have spoken about you. And she's super important. But she was like, I'm an orphan. I was never important. So, you know, she goes from being an orphan to being the most important person in the world. So that's exciting for her. We're going to exit my fantasy girly era for a second because we talked about Leigh Bardugo just then. And then we'll go back in. Like, don't worry. We're going to travel back in. Well, but also, wait a second. Hold the phone. If you have a book that you think that I should read in my fantasy girly era, please let me know. Let me know, because I want fantasy girly era books. And I feel like there's so many that my brain is like, I don't know which ones to read. I don't know, because I hear about all of them. So, like, give me some good pointers here. I've read the first ACOTAR. I know I have to read ACOMAF because everyone loves that one more than ACOTAR. So, someday. They're actually right there. You see it? You see it? It's ACOTAR. On top of it, 3 body problem series. Yeah. Huh. Right there. Right there. This is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I read Ninth House when it came out. I liked Ninth House. There's something in Ninth House that I didn't really like, but this follows Alex Stern, and this is in the real world, not like the Grishaverse or anything. So Alex Stern is going to Yale. She's like a scholarship student, and then she joins a secret society that's like a magical secret society, it turns out, and then there's like a magical mystery thing happening, and Hellbent is they have to save someone from something that happens in the first book. It's like they have to fix that, and you know where they're going. They're going down. Okay, back to fantasy girl here. Sorcery of Thorns. I don't know. I'd seen this cover before, and I was like, maybe I'll like it. It was 50% off at Barnes & Noble, so I was like, let's do it. I'm going to read some of the synopsis to you because I don't even know what it's about. Thorns and sorcery. That's all I know. All sorcerers, sorcerers are evil. Elizabeth has known that as long as she has known anything. Has known that. She's known they're evil. Okay. Raised as a foundling in one of the Ostermer's great libraries. I like libraries. Elizabeth has grown up among magical grimoires that rattle beneath iron chains, capable of transforming into grotesque monsters. When an act of sabotage releases the library's most dangerous grimoire, Elizabeth is accused of treason, with no one to turn to but her sworn enemy, the sorcerer Nathaniel Thorn. Nathaniel Thorn. And his mysterious servant. She finds herself entangled in a centuries-old conspiracy. That sounds pretty good. I'm interested. Sorry, I'm acting like a weirdo.
I'm sorry.
Are you sorry too? My watch is sorry too. So I guess we're all sorry here. The next one is Atlas 6 by Olivie Blake. Everyone keeps talking about this. I think it's another like secret society thing that only like 5 or 6 people are chosen per year, and then you're following. Oh, 6. It's 6. If it were 5, I'd be like, why is it called that? What's it called that? You know, and then I open it up, it says 5, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So you're following the 6 recruits, I'm assuming. It's the Alexandrian Society, and there's like magic and stuff like that, but it's kind of dark academia fantasy, so we're kind of like trying everything out. Over here. The penultimate. Sign here. I keep saying I'm going to read this book, and I am going to read this book. I told myself I was going to read this book earlier as well. This one is, there's this guy who works in hell who needs to recruit someone to go to hell, or like get someone to go to hell, like a person on the earth, but he has to pick it out of these people at a retreat. So it's like when the Harrisons retreat to the family house for the summer with their daughter Mickey's precocious new friend Ruth in tow, the opportunity pay was waiting a millennium for might finally be in his grasp. And with the help of his charismatic co-worker Calamity, he sets a plan in motion. So he's trying to get one of them to sign the Book of the Devil. I don't, you know what? I don't know. To be evil. To be a baddie. Which, telling you the truth, he show up at my house and he's like, you want to sign this book? To be a baddie? I would do that. The not penultimate, because it is the ultimate last one, is Tell the Wolves I'm Home. This is the book I'm reading for my book club. So I just thought I'd mention it because I have to read it. Let's pad this shit. Just bulk it up. Put as much as you can in this video. What's wrong with me? I feel like I was really close to the screen at the beginning, and now all of a sudden I'm like hunched over in a corner. So 1987, the only person who has truly understood 14-year-old June Elbis is her uncle, the renowned painter Fenn Weiss. Shy at school and distant from her older sister, June can only be herself only in her uncle's custody. He is her godfather, oh my god, and her uncle, confidant and best friend. So when he dies far too young of a mysterious illness her mother can barely speak about, June's world is turned upside down. But Finn's death brings a surprise acquaintance into June's life. At the funeral, June notices a strange man lingering just beyond the crowd. And who is he? I know you loved that synopsis reading. Okay, so what I'm asking of you here is to recommend me fantasy girly books. You know what? Recommend me any book. Just recommend books to me. I like that. I like books. I would hope I like books. This is a booktube channel. Okay. I need to leave. I need to leave. I must leave. Allow me to leave. I think I need to clean some today. Don't know why I'm telling you that. Bye.